Hello, welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast channel. This is me, and my name is Jed. So, we are reading a book that bangs so much that it will give your grandchildren CTE. Alright, so what have we been learning so far about the nature of human problems? Well, from learning how to read this book in a new kind of way that isn't taught at schools, learning to understand, and at the same time learning to catch any interpretation, so giving us two roles in reading, discovering and addressing interpretation while learning how to read or understand. In doing that to this book, we've discovered that there is something in reality allowing for understanding to exist. Its name is the Logos. Now, what I have found is if you use that word, people get pissed off, despite not knowing what the word is. Now, that's an interesting feature of human beings that we'll keep in mind. We'll put that aside for now. We'll come back to it. So let's use the word intelligibility. There is something in reality called the Logos, allowing for understanding to exist. By being the cause of understanding, by being the process of understanding, and by being the end goal of understanding. Isn't that interesting? By the way, have you ever learnt anything? Have you ever benefited from understanding anything? Is understanding what brings benefit? If you have to understand problems to remove them, and you have to understand what it is you're doing to do it well. So for understanding to exist and give human beings what they need to benefit, there has to be some cause for it. That's the Logos. Now, what's interesting about that is it's also the methodology itself. And it's also the end goal. So what we're discovering is the words and the terms and the structure that we use in understanding exists in intelligence as its aspects or eidos. So our greatest experience of intelligence, experienced as divine luminosity, can be understood, reflected on, and one can recognize that inherent to it are parts. Not as parts, but as aspects of a whole. Because what you experience with turning your mind around to know your mind, minding mind, what you encounter is the greatest kind of whole. Because it's a whole of the greatest amount of or kind of parts. Whole and parts. It's also experienced as beauty. So that's where beauty lives. It's the model or experience or cause of beauty. Those parts are, and that whole of all parts is experienced out of time. It has an eternal existence, but it accounts for everything that will come to rise in time, out of time, in time. All of those parts are perfectly ordered necessarily the way that they should be. Justice. So, all of the fundamental building blocks of understanding, allowing us to desire understanding, seeking beauty, seeking justice, seeking goodness, and allowing us to walk the path to where our desire points us, whole, part, in time, out of time, etc., all exist as aspects of the highest experience of intelligence. Meaning our highest experience of mind, our highest vision, contains within it inherently the logos that we can experience all at once out of time. But it can also be that that logos is also experienced in time as understanding. So the highest vision has its expression in the highest human activity in time. That's understanding. Therefore, the cause of understanding is that logos. It's also the path we walk to get our benefit, and that benefit ultimately is and points to and leads to that same intelligibility of pure intelligence. The logos is the cause, it's the method, and it's the end goal for understanding the greatest human activity that we can participate in during time. Understanding. Isn't that neat? Now, all of those things we have described from the book, well, we have gleaned from reflecting on what we've been reading, but also all of those things are necessarily so. Yesterday we had a chatter who came in and he had a family game that he was playing where anything that he disagreed with, he would dismiss as just a matter of opinion. Right? It's an interesting game that some people play. Oh, what I say is right, but what you say is just an opinion. Based on what?
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into stupid positions.
How did he come to that stupid position? Stupid because it's irrational, self-defeating. The claim that everything is opinion and therefore can be dismissed not only falls apart when you applied it to the examples that we encouraged him to reflect on. By the way, if you were in a plane and it was someone's opinion because they've had a few drinks that they're a pilot, would that be as valid as someone who actually has gone to pilot school and developed understanding? But also his position himself falls down. His position that everything that I disagree with is just an opinion would mean, well, his position would have to be an opinion and equally as invalid as anything else. So the position, everything is a matter of opinion, would itself, within that framework, be an opinion, self-defeating. But notice everything we said about the necessary conditions for understanding. That is verifiable in the experience of intelligence and can be demonstrated in our physical experience by reflecting on the fact that understanding is what solves problems and brings our excellence in whatever it is we're doing. In other words, we can verify in our physical experience that understanding brings benefit and is our highest functioning. We can reflect on the fact that it makes use of ousia and logos, our ability for A, self-reflection ousia, and B, language. And that is what makes human beings more evolved than cabbages and caterpillars. So another reason why necessarily understanding is our purpose and highest functioning. So we can reflect that understanding brings benefit. We can experience divine luminosity ourselves if we continue in understanding mind. That's the contemplation, particularly with help of your dream analysis. Your dream master will give you states of mind and give you things to reflect on to facilitate that intelligible experience. And there are other methods that people can do as well. But the thing is, through philosophy, we want to develop our understanding to the point we can recognize and sustain that luminosity experience so we can wiggle our toes or stay within it long enough for us to reflect on it, to recognize those aspects, to verify the root cause of understanding. So, logos in our universe is the cause, method, and goal of understanding, but also the source or cause, or the source and goal is the logos, that is the inherent intelligibility of consciousness or intelligence itself. That's the source. And by the way, what we've been learning from the text is that experience to verify for yourself, not believing someone else, verifying for yourself, is recognized as a stage of human development in two different maps. It's the second hypothesis in the 10 hypotheses of Parmenides, and it's the 8th oxherding, which is Parmenides was Socrates' teacher, and it's the 8th oxherding picture within the map of human development for the Zen Buddhist tradition. Isn't that interesting? Others have already recognized it and mapped out the system of development leading to that verification or goal of logos. To turn your mind around and know yourself as consciousness, which is the source of the logos, which is the cause, method, and goal of understanding, which is our purpose and highest human functioning in time. By the way, the second hypothesis or 8th oxherding picture is not the end. It's a kind of passageway, gateway, vestibule, lots of words that are used to describe it. Because even that, as an experience, must have its cause. So while mind knowing itself is ousia, a constant dynamic of mind turning around to know itself as divine luminosity, ideally having developed in your human life understanding so you can recognize it, understand what you're experiencing, go into it in greater depth and integrate it within your being, it has a goal. For it to be a process, it has to have a goal. But the goal isn't itself, because it's a constant dynamic. It's an eternal dynamic, and in that experience, many people will say, well, I've overcome my fear of death because I know mind is eternal. I experienced it. Not because some guy in a funny hat told me so. I have to believe it, otherwise I go to hell. Nope, I looked at it myself. Mind knowing mind in its highest sense. Do you have a mind? Don't you want to know its highest reach? Don't you want to know how far it goes? That's that experience. But its goal, by being a dynamic, it has to have a goal, but being an eternal dynamic, the goal can't be itself, points to something beyond it. So while we say the logos as the inherent order, intelligibility of mind is the source and goal of understanding, there is an even greater source and even greater goal. Self. The one. If divine luminosity is a profound oneness, there has to already be the idea of one. If it's something experienced by something, there has to be an experiencer, the self. Therefore, the one self. And that's what Parmenides uses to describe himself, his highest vision, or knowing thyself. To know thyself is to recognize that the highest idea of one is equivalent to the self, which is also therefore the highest possible idea of the divine or God. A pure one, equivalent to the self, the one self. But Somehow it had to give rise to or cast a shadow or reflection of itself into oneness. So, and if that oneness is the source of the logos, or the logos exists inherent to mind, there must be a logos inherent to self such that its reflection is also intelligible. So the higher source of understanding, the higher source of the logos, and the higher goal is to return to know the self through understanding, that is to recognize the self logos. Meaning, our physical world is understandable, and we can develop a map that we can understand of how we progress through it to develop the excellence of understanding. Mind, the non-physical dimension or metaphysics, is also understandable, and that map of development continues into levels of experience of pure mind, which of course requires the soul to separate from the body, or to say it a different way, to open the eye of the soul. Or, to say it another way, in our contemplation, we are withdrawing from our physical senses to look at sense itself. Not sense put into our eyes or ears or pushed out in that way, but the single sense of consciousness itself, to withdraw into the primary sense, opening the eye of the soul. So, our physical world is understandable, our psychic development is understandable, and it's our highest goal that goes beyond both as the source of that intelligibility, and the goal of that intelligibility, the self, is also understandable or intelligible. That's knowing thyself. That's the logos of self. Now, as we just pointed out, there is the one self with its inherent logos that we're after, so we can recognize ourselves, the true self, the free self, the one self, the good self, that gives its reflection as the highest state of mind, which has the logos inherent, and that allows for, or is the source for, our functioning in the highest way of understanding. Therefore, the self-logos, self-mind, or logos mind, and logos functioning. There's our whole self. Recognizing the self, the logos of self, having your state of mind as the highest, and functioning in the highest way through time, using the logos through understanding. Isn't that interesting? It's our goal, according to the text. Now, in a similar way, as self reflects into mind, human beings reflect that process not in a true way, but in a distorted way. So while our goal is understandable, human problems are understandable. We equally make a creation, or similarly make a creation. The only difference is human creation is not true. It's a distorted version. We create so while that's the logos of self, the logos of mind, and the logos of understanding or functioning, we create a sick logos, patho-logos version of that triad. That's the cause of all human problems. The pathologos false idea of self that we take for granted. We just, well, of course that's me. I know what I am. Bollocks.
You're a little bitch-ass baby.
You're a little bitch-ass baby if you think that. That gives rise to a certain state of mind. Have you noticed that different people have different states of mind? The MAGA state of mind is different from an evangelist state of mind, is different from a scientist state of mind, is different from a Nazi state of mind. Although, well, and ever notice how human beings fight to defend their own state of mind and a way of being? Ever notice that
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into stupid positions.
that people function stupidly into stupid positions? Interpretation. So, the false idea of self that we carry and identify with also reflects into a false or pathologos state of mind, just as the logos self reflects into the logos mind in reality. And as the logos state of mind gives rise to the conditions for understanding, logos, so too that negative state of mind, the pathologos state of mind, gives rise to negative or pathologos functioning. That's called interpretation. Interpretation. To add what isn't there, to project our problems. I saw a video this morning where someone was explaining, hey, listen, these are MAGA right-wing fascists. They say these weird things. The left is trying to rig elections. The left wants to knock down your door and kidnap your children. The left are murdering babies. Sounds bizarre. But the video producer was saying, hey, by the way, they're only saying that to justify, which is a lie, they're not doing that, to justify when they do it. What's ICE doing? Knocking down Americans' doors and kidnapping children in masks. What do the Epstein files show that the billionaires, the billionaire class, the political and billionaire class are doing? Murdering children. They project their own injustice to that's projection, that's the interpretation, to add what's not there. To justify them doing it. That same idea of goodness or reality that they project, that false idea or belief, pathologos belief about truth they project to justify them doing it. That's not true reasoning. That's looking for validations and justifications to inflict their sick belief about mind. Because remember how we said pure mind is beauty? One of the eidos or aspects of reality is beauty, intelligence is beauty, and justice. Therefore, if their pathologos idea of self from their own family upbringing causes a negative state of mind, that negative state of mind contains within it the sick idea of justice and the sick idea of beauty that they have to find a justification to inflict on others. That's why cruelty is the point for conservatives, capitalists, clergy, anyone bound by belief and not understanding. Understanding, remember, is the functioning of the logos, leading to the logos of mind, leading to the logos of self. Pathologos is belief, not based on the understanding of the patterns of reality, but based on believing a parental figure who pretended to be reality, pretended to know the self, played king of the house, as parents get to do because of the sick way we raise children. You're stuck in a house. I just hope those parents are good to their kids. Well, they're not. Because they're motivated by their pathologos, sick idea of justice, sick idea of beauty. Therefore, all people are simply finding justifications to play out that idea of beauty and justice. Pathologos, that's interpretation. So they project their own injustice to justify responding. Well, if the left are barging into your house and abducting your children to abuse them and murder them, we better do it with ICE. That's the Republican playbook. That's all conservative playbook. Because that's the nature of conservatism. Thumbs down. Pathologos. Welcome, Reeve. That's the nature of human injustice. That's the nature of human savagery and sadism. The same triad of the logos that we're supposed to be developing through understanding, created as a distorted sick reflection into the negative triad of the pathologos. The pathologos image of self that human beings carry and identify with, that manifests as a pathologos state of mind, that also contains their ideal of beauty and justice, etc., what it means to be strong and powerful. It has its pathologos functioning through interpretation and belief, projection and blindness. So, isn't that interesting? Human problems is nothing other than a distorted shadow of human excellence. Vice is a distorted reflection of virtue. Meaning, if we can develop understanding, we can trace our problems back, just as in our highest functioning, the use of understanding is to reach its source and goal, the pure intelligence and logos of mind, the highest state of mind, and that's goal is to then go on to know the source of that, the logos of self. So too can we trace back human injustice, the cruelty of the billionaires, the cruelty of the religious class, the cruelty of the billionaire class, the cruelty of the Epstein class, the cruelty of anyone who wants to conserve old ways of being and not progress into learning and development that benefits souls. We can look at their functioning pathologos, interpretation, trace it back to its source, the pathologos state of mind, including the pathologos idea of justice and beauty and goodness, and trace that back to its pathologos source, the pathologos false idea of self that they identify with. So our purpose, we started by saying the human purpose and our human goals and excellence is understandable. By learning to figure out what understanding is, using it to find its source, logos of mind, and then using that to find its source, logos of self. So too, the exact same process applied to the pathologos is how we solve all human problems. Looking at the pathologos functioning in injustice, tracing it back to its pathologos source state of mind, injustice, tracing it back to its pathologos source, the self, but the unjust, false idea of self. It's the same triad, it's the same movement. One applied to the logos, understanding, one applied to its distorted reflection, believing a parental figure. Now, that's the nature of all human problems for all souls. But as we saw in the book, that problem that we face individually within our family is the exact same dynamic playing out within our city. Trump calls himself daddy. We mock the bootlickers of Elon Musk and other capitalist fascists. Capitalism is fascistic in nature. We have all the money, we get to abuse you because you're vulnerable and starving. We mock them by saying, oh, Daddy Elon for you guys. You're all simping for Daddy Elon. Clergy call themselves father. Priests call themselves father. And they project their own family dynamic of pathologos onto God the Father. The same triad we follow in our excellence has its distorted reflection in human problems within our soul or family. That is the exact same dynamic playing out within the state. By the way, there's a third level, the cosmos, that human beings are yet to wake up to and we're going to have to wait until we go through the soul and state before we perhaps recognize that it's playing out within the cosmos. Meaning those 3 steps, functioning, mind, self, applied to the logos understanding and the pathologos belief, shows that we look spammer. Press the spam button.
You don't talk to me, you robot. Shut up.
Shut up, robot.
Worse than slop. Sludge.
You're a sludge.
Further fill the internet with spam. Yeah. I'm a human. I don't listen to robots. But you shut up. You shut the...
It's a win-win. You're a little bitch-ass baby.
You're a little bitch-ass baby,
It's
spammer.
a scam.
You're a scam.
It's a
And it's a rug.
Oh, these terrible accounts, man.
Oh my fuck.
Oh my fuck. So, the same functioning to mind, to source or self in the logos. So there's a triad of our excellence, understandable. A triad of human problems, which is nothing other than a distortion. 3 terms. Even more simplified with 2 terms, because that triad is defined by the logos or the pathologos, understanding or belief. So you can understand the nature of humanity, our excellence, and our problems with 2 terms. By the way, we saw in that reflection that tracing our functioning of understanding, trying to perfect it by finding its source, mind, second hypothesis, 8th oxiding picture, allows for a development, and then applying understanding to even that allows for the movement to the first hypothesis or 9th oxiding picture. We saw the same thing with addressing human problems. Where's the cruelty? Where are the blocks? Where's the failure happening? By the way, Nazis and Trumpers and ICE and all this child abduction, murder, torture, enslavement by the capitalists and conservatives. By the way, those are conservatives. Do they have a state of mind? Do they all get together in big groups and wear their American flag and praise Daddy Trump in a certain state of mind? Does that state of mind allow them to express their racism and fears? Is that state of mind perpetuated through the media networks owned by those same fascistic billionaires? Oh, a state of mind. Interesting. By the way, could we have predicted all of the terrible things Trump has done by recognizing his state of mind before he even got elected? By the way, even that has a source, an idea of self that we get from our family. By the way, if Trump's father was a KKK official, a high-ranking leader of the KKK movement, could we have anticipated what kind of idea of self he must have had, having been raised in that family abuse? Therefore, predicted his state of mind, therefore predicted his functioning within himself and family, the way that he treats his children, Ivanka especially, quite clearly, and the way he treats the American people and the world. So, the same dynamic of understanding our excellence with the triad of self defined by the logos, and the same method of understanding human problems following the same method or structure but assigned to the pathologos, meaning 3 parts of the excellence or our problems, 2 levels, logos and pathologos, 1 method. That's called the dialectic. That way of tracing the functioning to its source as a state of mind, to its source as the self, either frees you from your pathologos sickness that we all have some worse than others, some people with the power to play it out with more harm to others, like this is why hopefully these Epstein files will shine to light that any inequality should be banned against the law, because the billionaires use their wealth inequality to inflict their pathologos injustice on the vulnerable. Capitalism inequality shouldn't exist. Wealth inequality can't exist within a rational, just society. Hey, the conservative movement, just believe me because I'm an authority figure. Political power over others shouldn't exist. Politicians should never, ever, ever be able to benefit personally from the laws they make. So conservatism, which is billionaires trying to buy their way into positions of power to exploit the most vulnerable for their personal profit, cannot exist as a political party in a just, fair society. And same thing with religion. Do as you're told because I'm the priest, I'm the bishop, I'm the imam, I know what God is, and if you don't, you go to hell, is another claiming of power over others to inflict your pathologos ignorance. Notice all three are groups bound by belief. Capitalists, kings, and clergy. The KKK. Now, hopefully, we've seen enough about this play out to reflect in the way that we're doing on this channel and understand why it happens the way it is, why it will always happen the way it is, and what we need to do to establish justice. 3 aspects of problems and excellence, 2 expressions, the logos and pathologos, understanding or belief, 1 method for solving it, the dialectic. Therefore, the dialectic, or the art of the logos through understanding, is our purpose and method of human beings. Meaning, we live in a reality where our excellence is understandable and reachable, and our problems are all understandable and solvable. Hooray. This book is a fucking banger. Imagine that. Imagine growing up in a society where we all learn, oh yeah, your highest, most significant, meaningful goals, profound goals, enlightenment goals are completely understandable and reachable. Imagine living in that world where we get taught that in year 1. Oh, and any problem you have is an excuse for the capitalists to put you in prison so they can exploit you for slave labor, or hire their KKK thugs as prison guards to abuse and torture you because you had to do a crime because you couldn't afford fucking food. No. Problems are not an excuse for pathologos people to inflict their pathologos. Oh, you're a sinner, now I get to torture you, says the priest. Says the capitalist, says the conservative. No. Imagine a world where we learn from day 1 that all problems are understandable and all problems we have to have. Otherwise, we wouldn't have an impetus to reflect on our pathologos, find our negative state of mind, to discover the false idea of self that we were carried with us into this life. That was our whole reason for reincarnation to begin with. So problems are not only solvable, never ever punishment. It's not a blame game or a shame game or a punishment game, ever. And not only are problems understandable, they are necessary. They reflect the stage of development you are going through as a soul. They're necessary and appropriate. So it's stupid to punish. Imagine that world. No justification for sadism. No backdoor. I get to kidnap your kids, says the conservatives, says the MAGA, and abuse and torture and murder them because, you weren't protesting in the right way, or you couldn't afford food, ha ha ha. I caught you making a mistake or having a problem, now I get to abuse you. That's punishment. That's fucked. necessarily in principle. Always, not a matter of opinion. Everything we just said that we learnt from the book are all principles that are eternally true, and we reasoned through them ourselves. We applied them to the physical world to show that yes, it is reflected in the physical world, but our reasoning itself was non-physical. The logos ain't physical. The pathologos ain't physical. It has a physical expression. Cause and effect ain't physical. It has a physical expression. So tracing the effects of our problems to its cause as a state of mind and to its necessary cause beyond even experience were all steps of reasoning that are non-physical, therefore eternal, not a matter of belief, not a matter of opinion, not a matter of perspective. They are always true. Definitionally, that's the power of understanding. So we can use examples. For example, when you learn to be a mechanic, understanding that the gasket has to go into the carburetor, has to go into the spark plug, is something that is always true. You can apply it to this Honda engine or this Mazda engine to verify it or to see that it plays out, but the idea itself will always be true. That's what we're seeing, except we're not looking at engines for mechanics or planes for pilots or physical bodies for doctors. We're looking at the soul. Now this is important because we all have a soul. Therefore, the dialectic, while it can be applied to learning what learning is for flying a plane, for fixing a car, for being a doctor, our purpose and the highest functioning of the dialectic is for us as souls to turn around ousia and understand logos, our soul. We are supposed to become doctors of our own soul. That's the dialectic. That's how you reach your excellence. That's how you solve problems. It's always true in principle, and it will always work in principle. Hooray. So what's the problem? What's the problem? Why don't we do that? Remember at the start of today's episode, I mentioned, hey, you mentioned the word pathologos and logos, and people become stupidly fucking violent and hostile towards you, despite the fact that A, you're telling the truth, and B, it's exactly what they want and need to help and benefit themselves. That's the issue. That's the struggle. So while we can understand our excellence is understandable and achievable in that triad of logos, and our problems are also understandable and solvable with that pathologos triad of self, there is another element. There is a self-protecting mechanism of our pathologos. Why is pathologos a problem? Because it blocks logos. If logos is our path, if logos is the source, if logos is our goal, if logos solves problems and reaches excellence, a problem must necessarily be that which blocks the logos. So the very thing to solve problems, logos, is blocked by our problems, pathologos. That's the catch-22. That's the rub. That's the rub. That's why I don't have 50,000 Twitch viewers like Asmongold or Hassan Piker. Because everyone will be opposed to this very thing, even though it's true and even though it benefits. Unless you have a rare kind of courage and character, or you have a good heart seeking truth and to benefit, and you have a good head. You want to understand. You want to learn. If you have those, you can develop virtue. Courage means to, despite your pathologos saying, screaming at you, do not do this. Do not follow the logos. Do not read these books. Do not reflect on them with your friends. Do not apply the dialectic to solving your problems and reaching your excellence. And do not, especially not, do dream analysis. And if anyone mentions the word dream analysis, if anyone mentions the word logos, or if anyone mentions the word understanding yourself, kill them. That's the path of logos. Now, it might not start as kill them, ignore them, mock them, threaten them, kick them out of the group, and then kill them. That's the escalation through 5 stages of opposition to our own logos, which defines the pathologos problems that human beings have. Socrates, killed. Beefgate 2025, I was excommunicated. I was expelled from the Majority Report Twitch channel for simply agreeing with Emma and using the word logos to put a name to what she was saying. Threatened. Think of your own examples. Mocked. This morning I was in a Twitch channel I enjoy, and I said something true and reflected what the creator was saying. But I used the bad word, logos. Mocked. Now, that's only a start. The whole point of mocking is till enough people, that's the right wing, that's the racism, that's all the racist tweets that Donald Trump is making right now. Hey, look at us ganging up together in mocking that person when we have enough people on board, triggering your fear of what's different, fear of understanding, fear of open states of mind, and fear of a free self. So there's a underlying fear of the positive triad that keeps us entrenched in the negative triad. It's a fear of understanding mind and self that keeps us fiercely, savagely, loyally defending our own ignorance. That's the issue. That's the problem. That's the rub. That's the Shamalaka twist.
Hubba. He's so far up his own ass.
That's what makes us so far up our own ass.
Wrong. You're
Wrong?
so wrong.
Oh my
But that's
goodness.
okay. We're all allowed to be wrong sometimes.
Phew.
I love this guy.
So, ignored. Then mocked. Then ganged up on and threatened. Then expelled from the group. The sacrificial lamb. Made an example of. Hey, speak up against this family. This is what happens to you. What are the billionaires doing on Epstein Island? Hey, you ever speak up against what we do to you on this Epstein Island? Look at what we did to that other kid we killed and ate. Disgusting. Capitalists, you start a union. What happened in the other city? We fired everyone and they went homeless and their children starved. Don't speak up against the conserving way of being. The way of being based on belief, inequality, injustice that we conserve as conservatives. Religion. Speak up against a religion, you're a heretic. You're kicked out of church. You'll go to hell. Or we start a war and kill you, like we killed the other non-believers. So, while we can understand all human conflicts as that pathologos self-triad, we have to recognize that it protects itself because it fears the true triad. And the true triad of self contains understanding, high states of mind, and free self. And so while those are the very things that you make use of in the dialectic, the very thing we need to solve our problems are the very things we fear in our problems to maintain our problems. That's the issue. Or, the way it's been put in the book, as we can recognize and understand and create a map of development through the logos out of our pathologos into higher participations in logos, mind and self, the hypotheses of Parmenides, the ox-herding pictures, or the one that we are being asked to make now based on interpretation. While we can recognize that there are stages of development defined by a more openness to the logos through the ox-herding pictures and hypotheses, or a block to the logos defined by levels of freedom from your pathologos, that's the one that Socrates is saying we need to make. That while we can have those structures of understanding and development, we have to recognize that the people lower down fight against the higher. Within the soul, your highest vision, your highest understanding, your highest insight, your highest activity, when you have those, you face counter-attacks. A new way of being. What happens? Oh, your pathologos comes in the voice, your internal critic, some call it. Socrates calls it the kakadaimon, the bad voice of the pathologos self. That was stupid. That was just a fluke. You just got lucky, chump. Don't ever try that again. You're a bad noodle. You're a small bean. That's the counterattack. 2, our highest functioning, understanding, our highest insight, state of mind, or a freedom of self. So when we have any experience of that triad or understanding of that triad or integration of that good triad, we face a counterattack. That's our soul's conflict expressed within the family as well. So too within society, if there's a person who is more rational and understanding, they have haters. There are a few, I stream on Twitch, so Twitch creators and YouTube creators that participate in understanding and don't just pander to the beliefs of the many. They get more haters than the panderers. And of that group, there are an even smaller amount that have profound insight and openness to changing their state of mind, and openness to learning and gaining new insights. Those profound insights or experiences or vision of reality, or higher vision or imagination for a better world, is even higher up on that list, meaning they have even more haters. And of course, those few that recognize this one.
Personality maxing requires you to look inward on a deeper level, and it's harder to fix. Because then you have to make fundamental changes to who you are as a person.
And it's because it feels like a much more core component of themselves that
They don't want to change. Like, it's like, well, then if I change this, who am I? 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 Who am I?
So those that go to that third stage, the higher source, and talk about the self, are going to trigger even more within themselves, from others, but that's the issue. So while it's understandable, provable, demonstratable that our excellence is understandable and reachable, our problems are understandable and solvable, all of them, the conflict we face is that our problems oppose our benefit. The pathologos opposes the logos within ourself, within our culture, within our relationships. That's the issue. That's the catch-22. The conservatives, capitalists, and religious get furious if you introduce the very thing they need to reach their goals and remove their problems. We killed Socrates. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's what we have to recognize. The need for courage. The courage to develop the logos and follow the logos despite the pathologos fighting against it. The courage to be open and curious and free as we can, to follow the logos, to be ruled by the logos, not by our own dumb opinions that we carry. It requires an openness and courage, character. And to do it at all times is the virtue of justice. So we need to recognize the necessity for the virtues to overcome the catch-22 that keeps human beings locked in our savagery, our sadism, our injustice, and all problems which are in principle solvable. Tell your friends. Pretty neat. Drop a sound.
I'm eating the testicles of this bull, and I'm eating it raw. Raw bull balls. This is raw buffalo balls.
See, you don't have to eat raw bull testicles like Joe Rogan says.
I don't want to eat a monkey.
You don't have to eat a monkey or a bull, because all you got to do is recognize the 3, the triad of self, the 2, its expression in logos understanding or pathologos belief, and the 1 method called dialectic, which is needed to perfect the one and purify the other. 3, 2, 1. Oh, but also you got to recognize the inherent catch-22 conflict. The best people are hated and attacked by the worst, even though it will help them to listen. And the best people are going to be ignored, mocked, threatened, exiled, or murdered, unless we wake up to the principles that we talked about today, including the pathologos objections. Oh, that's just an opinion, says Chatter yesterday. Despite the fact we helped him reason through the fact that that opinion itself is false. His reaction was the pathologos. He got furious. He didn't reply in chat. He sent a personal message quoting biblical scripture, reiterating his position, full of threats and ignorance. See? Despite everything I said being true and beneficial, inviting him to participate, asking him questions, etc., etc. So that's the issue. That's the issue. And that's why sometimes the life of the philosopher means you don't have a lot of people to talk to. But what are you going to do? Not do it? You can't not do it. You can't not see what you see. You can't not understand what's there to be understood. And why would you? Socrates calls that being ruler, pandering to the ignorance of the worst people is, well, yeah, it might get you a lot of friends or connections within the billionaire Epstein class, but to what? At what expense? You might be a ruler of all of the dead that lay in ignorance. But hopefully it's a puzzle that we can solve when we master this book. Because what we've been looking at is the fact that, hey, yeah. Yep. 3, 2, 1. For our excellence and its distortion. Yep. But by the way, as we introduce new truth to other human beings, which is part of the mastery of the dialectic, using it, sharing it, you better understand all of the different ways human beings interpret so that you can share it better. And maybe, survive. You can't not tell the truth. You can't give up on humans or humanity. You can't just tolerate cruelty and injustice and sadism by the billionaire class, capitalists, kings and clergy, all of the structures that venerate the pathologos belief-based group identity within society to have power over others. Can't just allow that to happen. What kind of a fucking monster would you be? But because of that catch-22, fear of the triad of self, fear of the logos, it can be sharing what's true and beneficial can be dangerous and also lonely. But what's our choice? It's our job here. Well, hopefully by understanding the ways that human beings interpret new truth, you can better navigate to be able to communicate better with others, but also recognize the kinds of interpretation that do respond negatively, so you can better navigate that to keep yourself safe and to benefit the people you're talking to. That's kind of the idea of this text, which is why it's one of the greatest books ever written. Speaking of greatest books ever written, let's read some of it. There is its corner. What do you think, RM?
You just attacked my person. You just harmed my body.
Well, I didn't mean to harm your body.
Wrong. You're so wrong.
So
But that's okay. We're all allowed to be wrong sometimes.
we're allowed to be sometimes. Right, Emma?
Do a poggers.
That's what I thought you would say. But we're not the crazy ones. They're the crazy ones. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. I'm not crazy, you're crazy, right?
No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell.
You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
That's what I thought. So, the development that we go through culminating in the ability to reflect on our dreams. Because the Dream Master is our greatest dialectician, giving us what we need to perfect that triad of self and purify our false pathologos triad of self. As we continue, we face opposition that comes forward, internally and externally. So our greater insights we could judge by, hey, how great is your pathologos counterattack? Must have been a good insight. Must have been a good goal that your pathologos is fighting so hard against yourself. Equally, hey, how much are you being mocked, ignored, threatened by others? You must be doing well. Right? So long as your haters are, judge me by my haters. The haters are the most ignorant or the most loyal to belief-based identification. That's the struggle. Human beings' loyalty to the sick triad of self because of a learnt fear of the true triad of self, preventing our mastery of the dialectic which we're here for. That's it. That's human conflicts. That's it. It's a one sentence. Put it on your fridge. Make it a bumper sticker. So, we can take those divisions and map the stages of man's development through different states of mind. And by the way, as we develop, we can see how it will affect mankind itself. But there is and always has been a fear in the lower divisions towards those in the higher. Most so towards the highest. So the best you are, the more shiny you are, the more furious and violent the worst become. Something we've got to address. Socially, as we put an end to any inequality and the terrible sadism that has come to light from the capitalist king clergy class of the Epstein files, but also internally as we are here to evolve ourselves. So behind that man's struggle to A, survive against the injustice of the pathologos and flourish, not just remove our pathologos, but flourish in the logos, it's simply a struggle over what state of mind will flourish or not. Your family way of being and state of mind, or a new one that requires courage to move into. So it's a war for and against certain states of mind, and the consequences play out within the family, the city, and also the cosmos, which is interesting. Wouldn't you like to see how this human struggle playing out within individuals and from their family, within cultures, based on society? Wouldn't it be interesting to actually see how human struggle is also playing out within a cosmic game? Wouldn't that perspective be interesting to have? By the way, that might be helpful. We're speaking about being lonely by being further up in the development of logos. We're talking about how it's dangerous because the nature of human conflict, human problems is a war against their own logos. So having a perspective of how humanity is being played out within a greater cosmos, within a greater whole, the more holes the better.
The more holes, the better.
Thank you, Emma. Might make it an easier game, make it easier for you. Wouldn't that be neat? Something to wonder about. So, those states of mind have an image that attracts some and repels others, right? The functioning of our conflict or drama is really a war about states of mind, and that state of mind has a source, a kind of image of the self. The struggle between the states of mind have an image that attracts and repels. The struggle between them underlies the structure of society, and it plays itself plays itself out within each soul. Each of the players in these divisions find a way to justify their positions and vindicate their actions. Notice, everything we've done today has not been about our own positions. It's been about seeing what was there to be seen in the book. We're not vindicating the actions we already carry with us. We are learning what the new actions are that would be just and necessary and beautiful, and learning about the difficulties that we face as a result of doing them. It would be easier, more comfortable, more familiar to just vindicate whatever you're already doing. Right? Very easy to see with MAGA. You're already racist? Oh yeah, so everything I'm reasoning about is just to defend that. I like Trump because his way of being and the image behind that way of being attracts me because it reflects my own pathologos way of being and image playing out within my soul. Well, then everything I'm going to say about Trump isn't going to be about truth or justice or benefit or what helps souls or what's necessary in all species and within the cosmos. It's just going to be whatever justifies the ignorance I already carry, my position, and vindicates my racist bullshit. As a result, there is a conflict or war between these different groups, right? MAGA way of being versus the Jewish way of being, Muslim way of being, etc., etc., etc. But of course, there's only one real way of being of the true triad of self that we want, that benefits us. So there's a conflict or war between them as to which will be the dominant image of man. As each gains and loses power, so society is transformed. So, those stages of development of the ox-herding pictures or the hypotheses of Parmenides can also be used to, those 10 hypotheses of Parmenides, to recognize what culture we're in. Hey, the 7th hypothesis is winning. We're ruled by 7thers. The 5th hypothesis is winning. Now we're in a world or culture or society defined by the 5th hypothesis. See? Not just applied to soul, but also applied to society in the movement of different societies. So as a new idea, with the introduction of a new idea, these forces align themselves for and against one another. A new idea coming into society may upset the power structure and the stability of the life of many. With change comes a loss of the advantages that has been derived from understanding the old. I know how to manipulate the stock market. I know how to manipulate religious followers. I know how to scam Christians. I don't want to lose that advantage by introducing truth and understanding and freedom. Learning and mastering how to take advantage of the changes of such changes directly affects the positions of honor and power within systems of society and within the soul. For benefits are distributed according to positions of power. Therefore, that's easy to see with the false, but if we are to, we can wonder, well, what would be the changes that move to the true? Would we gain benefit by understanding how we change through those stages of development towards truth? Interesting. Would we benefit by having a philosopher king in charge? Or the Logos in charge, more accurately? The Dream Maker in charge? A sense of stability comes with identifying with a system, so that when challenged, it may be defended furiously. That's what we've been talking about today. The nature of human conflict is nothing other than a furious defense of a negative system, conserving the negative system because you've identified with it. Or as the Oracle says,
No, personality maxing requires you to look inward on a deeper level, and it's harder to fix because then you have to make fundamental changes to who you are as a person. And it's because it feels like a much more core component of themselves that they don't want to change. Like, it's like, well, then if I change this, who am I?
So you identify with that image, self, state of mind or way of being, and functioning that allows you to benefit. So defended furiously. Power holders always defend the status quo. Chief among them are the oligarchs, or the powerful moneyed interests, what we now call the Epstein class. If a new idea gains power, it threatens the stability of power holders. The most ancient of truths are also always new to those loyal to an interpretation of the old. That's why the Nazis were called dogs. They're fiercely loyal to their leader without reflecting on whether or not they should be. Like a dog is always going to follow its master no matter what, even if the master is terrible. Like those police dogs, for example. Every interpretation is an attempt to save the old and preserve some advantage. What is new is often only new to those whose vision was blocked. When a new idea argues that its truth overcomes past privilege, inequality, oppression, the privilege is only not real privilege, but, well, like some privilege of material wealth, but also gives people the freedom to never reflect on their problems and inflict their injustice. So when an new idea argues that its truth overcomes past privilege, then the struggle becomes a life and death issue. Right? We've seen that with MAGA and the Jews that have done a terrible genocide, and the capitalists that have been exploiting everyone for a long time. Their little cabal is setting up concentration camps, creating a KKK ICE Gestapo, because they fear, well, we're not going to change. We're going to defend our sickness and our way of being. We like our injustice, and we'll kill as many people who stand up. But they're going to kill us anyway, so it's a life and death issue, because that way of being only ends in failure. Behind it all is a fear of the mind. See? Fear. Not only a blind loyalty to what we perceive as our benefit, but a fear of our own mind that we can move into. The possibility that a rational order, there's our understanding, is superior to all other claims forces a re-examination. So a fear of rationality, logos, and a fear of examination, ousia. The very things that make us human, ousia and logos, self-reflection and understanding, we have a fear of. We have a fear of what makes us human. It is true that behind all this drama and clash of ideas is the fear of mind and freedom. We fear our own mind and our own freedom and our own understanding. Why? Because we fear logos and ousia. Why? Because that's what if logos and ousia is our capacity as evolved critters, then our pathologos problems would be nothing other than that which blocks it. And as ousia and logos develops into understanding, we fear understanding. Allows us to have our highest expression of mind, we fear mind. Allows us the freedom of self from our pathologos images of self, we fear freedom. See? So you could say it's a fear of that self, mind, and understanding, or a fear of logos and ousia, the things that define those excellences. See, you understand it in terms of a 3, or the fear of logos and ousia applied to those 3, so you can make it a 2, 4, 6. 6 elements that we fear. So, when this fear, the new idea is tied to an awakening of a new kind of thinking, we know it will arouse the fear of mind, and behind that fear is that these new forms of order and understanding demand a difficult retraining and adjustment. Remember, you have to go through courage and keeping your cool, temperance, and reading and learning wisdom, and doing it at all times, justice, the virtues. It's a challenge. It's the challenge we're literally born to go through. But we're told, we are indoctrinated from a young age to think that it's bad and scary, and we're not good enough. Right? All of the shit that's coming to light and how they abused and manipulated children on Epstein Island plays out within the family. That's where they learnt that shit. You can't speak up, you're not good enough. You can't learn, and we can't change the way things are, it's too difficult. You can't speak up, we'll get ICE to murder you. But it's all lies, it's all bullshit. We're here for it. What else are you gonna do? And if you don't do it, according to what we've been reading, your next reincarnations will be worse. And if the soul is eternal or immortal, as is self and mind, why not do your best while you're here and keep going, wherever you end up? Or as Socrates says, I have come prepared to accept whatever happens to me as I go on my way, exploring ideas and seeking among my fellow men their way to truth, to justice and truth. You're on the way anyway. It's just, the Logos is the path. That's what we're here for. Yep. It's lonely as you develop. You get more haters as you develop. And they're going to tell you it's easier to give up. Don't rock the boat. But as we've been seeing, the consequences of falling into those pathologos lies are disastrous in your reincarnation and in your soul, conflicts that you continue to have. And whatever happens, just keep going on your way. if you're going to continue to reincarnate. Can't predict the future, but, we have been talking about divination, the art of prophecy from dream analysis, but whatever happens, we go on our way to follow the logos. How? Exploring ideas. Based on what? How our fellow men and how we and our fellow men find our way to truth and justice. Isn't that interesting? Is this book a banger? What do you think? Is this a book a banger?
Jesus is gonna come down and wipe this place out. Who cares?
Hey, don't give up.
Disgusting. I'm so disgusted.
So disgusted if you give up, right?
I'm going to get you. I'm going to find you. And I'm going to get you.
Well, that's not true because I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, a difficult retraining and adjustment is implied by a new order and understanding. The pull to oppose the new and resist change is a fundamental conservative impulse. That's the nature. So, the nature of human conflicts, injustice, ignorance, and sadism is the definition of conservatives. Human ignorance and savagery is the right wing. Therefore, it shouldn't be a fucking political party. It's our sickness. We should have some way of surfacing our opposition to progression so we can surface all of our causes for our ignorance and suffering so we can address and remove them. Sure. In other words, doctors should cure cancer, but you don't make cancer in charge. That's the definition of the right way. As looking forward to meaningful change is its opposite movement. Therefore, the triad of the self, defined by the logos, would be the true political movement, or soul's development movement, or the human species movement within the cosmos. The issue between these forces hinges on whether the proposals of each benefit the growth and development of the soul. That's our standard. Why should you be in charge? Oh, because I can understand the growth and development of souls. That's your qualification. Why should you be a pilot? Oh, because I can understand and guide a plane. Why should you be a mechanic? Because I understand and can benefit engines. Why should you be a politician or a spiritual leader? Or have some influence over society like the capitalists have? Oh, because I understand the nature and can benefit the growth and development of souls. There's our standard. Now, notice how we're having difficulty in creating a just world? Could that be linked to the difficulty in using the word soul? Because it's the misuse of that word by religious belief and its rejection by atheists. Therefore, the establishment left, atheists, there is no soul. So who gives a fuck if you torture people or abuse them or imprison them or torture them in prisons or in slave camps? Says the establishment left. Don't fucking change the status quo. There are no souls. Right? Or establishment, the right, the conservatives. No. See, souls are actually about oppressing other souls because of pleasure and sadism. So that's the nature of human ignorance. All from the book. The book's a banger. So that's our standard, benefiting the development and growth of soul. When it can be demonstrated that one is true and reflects a higher truth, then the issue becomes critical. In the struggle over truth, it becomes necessary to say that of these, which of these comes closest to revealing and making intelligible, there's our logos, the truth of the ideas being contested. Therefore, How do you make intelligible and make clear or reveal? The dialectic. The dialectic of understanding, the dialectic of mind to facilitate that experience of pure intelligence, and the dialectic of self so people can wake up to their purpose to know the self. Therefore, the dialectic is what's needed to benefit the growth and development of souls, and it is what is needed to win this war by demonstrating that it's true and demonstrating that it reflects a higher truth by doing a dialectic on mind and self, the source of truth. Therefore, that which comes closest to revealing and making intelligible the truth of the ideas being contested, that's the art of dialectic. That's what we're here for. So what we've been saying is our purpose is one art, the dialectic, or understanding applied to what's most significant, our souls. Therefore, for people who think life's all about basketball, the people who get into the NBA are the ones who are greatest masters of basketball. Equally so, the ones that get into, well, who should have positions of leadership in humanity are those who are masters of the soul. The dialectic. The dialectic is the skill of basketball applied to the soul. See? But it's what we're all here to do. We're all playing basketball. We're all souls developing. So we're all benefiting. We can all benefit. We can all try our best. And the people who are the best at it, we will say, please, please, please help us. And they'll say, what about me? No, come on, bro. We want them. They're not going to benefit from ruling us. They benefit us. That's why you go to a doctor, not to benefit the doctor. You pay him money so he benefits you. We all are supposed to become masters of the logos, the dialectic, our own souls. And also, in doing that, we'll recognize who's the best at it. Who's the best basketball player? We want him to be on the team. Because if we don't, we have the fucking sadism of the pathologos fucks in the billionaire class, the conservative class, and the clergy class that are just destroying and torturing everyone. We want the best players on the team, while to help us become experts of the soul. That's the meaning of life. Remember? Triad of the self, that we have to remove the fear of because we're loyal to the distorted triad of the self, because we fear logos and ousia. Those are the two. Also two expressions, the logos and the pathologos, and one art, the dialectic. The art of what benefits the soul and can reveal and make make intelligible the truth of the ideas being contested, where one can confirm what we have explored through a process of reasoning through words, there's our logos of understanding, and appealing to the experience that comes along with an encounter with intelligence. So there's our reasoning through words, logos of functioning, the first part of the triad, understanding, dialectic, appealing to the logos of mind, or the encounter of pure intelligence. That's our logos of understanding leading to the logos of mind. And if we put the two together, that reasoning can bring with it a quietness of mind that you can drop away everything, including that most profound experience, to see what has been seeing this whole time, to see what sees. It is then that sight opens itself up to itself, the self. That's how we go from seeing the necessity for understanding what benefits the soul in its learning and development, to put an end to the sadistic torture and abuse of humanity through the pathologos expression within society. In other words, we need to develop the dialectic and understanding to solve our fucking suffering on this planet. To do that, we have to win the argument by showing what grows and develops the soul. to bring it into light, to make it able to be seen and intelligible, reveal it and make it intelligible. We also have to show, hey, by the way, that understanding reflects a higher truth of mind itself. It doesn't just help souls on this planet, it reflects the principles of mind. Therefore, to survive, solve problems, and flourish, reach our highest excellence, we need to reason through words. There's our dialectic of understanding. Appeal to the logos inherent within the highest experience. Appeal to the logos or intelligibility within intelligence itself. That's understanding, moving to its source mind. And then from there, realize that through reasoning, there is something seeing it. That's the movement from mind to its source, the self. There is our triad. That's how we do it. That's how it's used to solve problems, giving rise to the process of our highest functioning through understanding, our highest intelligence through mind, and its source, the self. Reasoning brings with it a quietness of mind, and one can drop away everything to see what sees. It is then that sight opens itself up to itself, the self. There is the end. That's the end of the journey. There's our goal. Showing and by the way, everything else is drowning yourself in empty phrases that only breeds chaos. So, as we've seen, that's the end, that's the self, that's the source that even the source of mind points to, mind as source points to. So our opening premise, our goals are understandable and reachable. There it is, that's how you do it. In doing so, we have solved human problems. That was our other premise for today. Not only is our goals understandable and reachable, our problems are understandable and solvable. The catch-22, or the difficulty, is the very nature of our problems is a fear and opposition to the logos and ousia, the self-reflection and understanding of understanding, mind and self. So it's a fear of that triad of self, causing a loyalty to the negative triad, the image of yourself, your negative states of mind and ways of being, and your negative functioning through interpretation and belief, to defend your own ignorance and your familiar way of being, because you fear your own freedom and development, and you think you benefit by being Nazi-like loyal, having a Nazi-like loyalty, a savage loyalty to your old way of being. So, that's it. Got there in the end. Excellence is understandable and reachable. Our problems are understandable and removable. So long as we recognize the catch-22 or conflict is the pathologos opposes the logos. If logos is what we need to benefit, to survive and flourish, that's the very thing blocked from our pathologos. We have to find a way around that block. We have to learn not to kill the best of us, to learn not to attack the best of us within our soul and the best of us within our species. We have to develop courage and character. Stay in the game. Recognize the dangers, but also develop that understanding of the stages of development so we can better navigate those difficulties to survive ourselves as the best of people, philosophers, challenging the worst of people. So to survive and also to flourish, to better benefit. So we got to understand everything we understood today, also map it to those stages of development that we're working on so we can ourselves survive and benefit our fellow man. Right. So that's the game, that's our excellence, that's our problems, and that's the catch-22 or difficulties that we face along the way. That's how we do it, and that's why it's a struggle. Now, we are in episode, 145 or something of the series, of this book. So it took us a while to get here. If you are here, if you've seen enough of this series to that everything that we've said today is obvious to you, then congratulations. If you haven't, then you can always go back to the playlist on YouTube and go through it at your own pace. Or you can jump into the chat whenever we go live. You get a notification on Discord when we do. You can ask questions. But yeah, isn't that neat? That we can understand our excellence, we can understand how to solve all problems, and we can understand why it's a struggle, why it's lonely at the top, why it's difficult to communicate what people need and want, and why people seem to be fucking assholes when you try and help them. Isn't that neat that we can understand the whole thing? I think it's neat. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, donate to the channel if you want to. Follow on Twitch and YouTube if you want to. I'll see you next time.